freaking first cut. Golly. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your Sunday recap for this week's RBC Heritage. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Greg, hello.
Boys, it's not over yet, but much of it is. And I think it's still safe to say, what a week.
We've got play still going on in Harbortown, but the ladies are done, and we'll talk about all that fun stuff. Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick?
What's up, guys? One of the longest days of my life. It felt like it just kept going on and on and on. But happy to be here talking to y'all.
Are you?
Our young buck, Kyle, that's Kyle Porter. Our young buck is finally, he's wearing down. He's showing the first signs of fatigue this year.
This is like, you know, the Passion of the Christ meme with Mel Gibson and
yeah.
I had a 11-year-old birthday party today during as I'm writing, Patrick. I had four of my own kids running around. I mean, if we want to talk about long days, you can come over to the Porter household. I've got wiffle balls flying off my shed as Scottie's, burning down the bag 9. So yeah, tell me more. I want to hear more.
Okay. Mine started at 2 a.m. I'm battling. We talked about this Tuesday.
Oh, no.
So we have something down here in the South called palmetto bugs. They're similar to cockroaches. And Monday, or I guess Tuesday morning, I woke up with one on my arm. And it's been in the back of my mind ever since. So I cannot sleep.
That's
like anything happens, I wake up immediately. Yeah. So I haven't slept pretty much since Tuesday. Just because I think there's a palmetto bug on me at all times. But outside of that, it was really just the rain delay in Hilton Head.
tough.
Yeah, this is a regional term to describe cockroaches or similar insects often used.
They look gross.
South Carolina and Florida.
They're disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I
have some experience with them. It's disgusting.
I've got a question. What to you was the most impressive thing that happened today?
Well, Patrick showing up was I'm super impressed with that.
Besides that,
I think I'm going with the kid.
I was thinking the kid too.
right?
Yeah, that's dumb.
Miles, 15-year-old Miles, 15 years old, top 25 on the Corn Ferry.
I was thinking about this. My daughter had an 11-year-old birthday party today. All these kids over. I made Jeopardy for them, so I was the Jeopardy host. It was tons of fun, very nerdy stuff. But I was thinking about her in 4 years. Like, well, obviously it's different because it would be LPGA, but playing a professional golf event. Like what? What are we? How's that? And not just playing, but like thriving.
Yeah, shooting mid-60s.
A couple times.
He finished with a 66.
The hat tip is sick. Did you hear him talk at all?
No.
I did.
Yeah, he is more mature than me. It's very disheartening.
He talks like he's like 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very ready for this.
It was that's extraordinary. And he's into the event next week. What's the or I don't know who knows this, but the age you got to be 18 to like get your officially get your card?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Is that true?
A 17-year-old hasn't ever done that?
I think
What about Akshay?
Well, Akshay didn't have his card until he was after 18 when he had his PGA Tour card.
I think you have to be 18, Rick, because I was reading about how he's not even eligible. Like he got the sponsor invite into next week, which is actually here in Dallas. But he can't, even if he wins, he can't get his official card because I think there's an age. I mean, it's like the NFL, right? Like there's an age limit. There's a minimum requirement you have to meet to be in the league.
I did not know that. I guess it's never really been required for me to know that, but I'm surprised by that.
Yeah.
So he could not. So if he snapped off and won this thing this week, and well, I guess there's a lot of stuff about how many Korn Ferry Tour starts could he get, but if he was good enough to get his PGA Tour card a year from now, they wouldn't give it to him.
Well, I think he would just be like the temporary or the whatever the status is where you're not an official member.
Special temporary exemption.
Right. So I think he would play. I think he could feasibly play a bunch of events, but he couldn't be on the tour, either tour.
But what would okay. Well, I mean, now we're deep into this. So say he's a special temporary member on the PGA Tour. He's 16. He wins. That would give him his full status, but he's not old enough. So now he doesn't have to go by special temporary membership criteria, which is only I think it's up to 7 sponsors invites or something like that. So he could be a winner of have the ability to play as many events as he wants, but the only thing he doesn't get is the retirement fund.
I think it's Zalatoris.
Hold on. I didn't hear what either one of you said.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I think it's like Zalatoris a couple years ago.
Right.
You wouldn't get the FedEx Cup points.
Right.
And I guess retirement. But you could turn pro. There's no age limit on turning pro. So you'd be just not an official member.
You'd be an unofficial member of the Korn Ferry Tour.
Right.
But then he would start getting PGA Tour sponsor exemptions.
Which he has one already. Bermuda.
Did he it's for this year or it was for last year?
Yeah, for this upcoming year.
Okay.
Damn.
He almost Mondayed into, I think it was Puerto Rico. He's insane. I mean, I said he was the youngest AJGA player of the year since Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
He won the junior PGA by 7, and that's always littered with future PGA Tour players.
Did you play in that, Patrick?
I tried to qualify, didn't make it. I watched it though because it was. Yeah. No, I mean it was at my home course. In 2012-ish. I mean, Cam Champ was there, Scheffler, Burns, all of them.
Yeah.
Laugh all
Speaking
you want.
Speaking of Scheffler and kids being young, I was having this conversation the other day. The Schefflers, the family moves to Texas for Scotty's golf at 7.
Yeah.
So he's my son is 6 right now. The thought of uprooting our family to pursue a coach for a sport, moving across the country, is just mind-boggling to me.
Do you think that your parents would have uprooted your family to take you to the best Nerf basketball coach in the country?
Well, they didn't have to.
All right, Miles.
Okay. Real quick.
Sure.
This is from Golf Digest. Alex Myers back in 2017. Siwoo Kim first earned his PGA Tour card when he finished tied for 20th at Q School in 2012. There's only one problem. He was too young to play on tour. PGA Tour's minimum age limit is 18, a rule that was established after Ty Tryon and Kevin Na turned pro as 17-year-olds in 2001. As a result, Kim, who was 17 years and 5 months at the time, had to defer starting his PGA Tour career until he turned 18 the following summer.
Wow.
Huh.
I did not know that. Learn something new every day.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
What were you doing at 17, the summer of your 17-year-old life?
I was cleaning pools and playing summer baseball.
17.
not waiting to be a little older so you could
play the tour. No,
which you've already qualified for.
The tour, the PGA Tour, did not complete the final round on Sunday. So we do not technically have a winner of the RBC Heritage. Here is what happened. They started, a storm came in, the delay lasted 2.5 hours, and they did not finish. So the leader, who is Scottie Scheffler, has 3 holes to go. He is holding a 5-shot lead. There are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 golfers still on the golf course, Patrick.
Yeah. Seems to be a formality at this point. Congratulations to Scottie Scheffler on his 4th win in his last 5 tournaments. And yeah, just a ho-hum, really impressive day, getting kickstarted with that eagle on the 2nd, where, I mean, that was not an easy chip at all. That was kind of probably one of the last places you wanted to leave it. He had a driving iron that was all over the pin, hit the downslope and rolled over. And then he rolls it in like a putt. And his 11th hole out of the season from off the green. So he's already won that bet. And I think what's most impressive about Scottie, which I'm coming to learn over these last 2 weeks, is just how much pressure he puts on everyone else to be perfect. And I think one of the best examples from today was Colin Morikawa on the 4th hole, trying to attack a left tucked pin on a very difficult par 3 and hitting it into the water. And you just see guys time and time again just falter because in the back of their mind, they know Scottie Scheffler's not going to falter, and all he's going to do is make birdie after birdie and not hiccup. And you can really see on other guys his presence weigh on them.
A chip in eagle on 2, a birdie on 5, a birdie on 13. He is going to tee off 16 KP when he gets back in the morning.
Have you reconstructed your eye test?
I'm his handler, KP. We've gone over this, right? Ever since I've put him in the best bets, the floodgates have opened.
You told me what, 9 months ago? Like I don't see it.
No, it was about a year ago. So we went about a year with him not winning on the PGA Tour. And then when I put him in the best bets at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, I was like, he's found his way. He looks ready. He's kind of gone to school. He's come back. He's grown up a little bit. And look what he's done ever since.
So you're taking credit for both sides of this.
I am.
Okay. You're the puppet master.
I guess he looks better.
That's
now.
a better way to put it. And I mean, the eye test thing, it's not horribly off, I don't think.
He still doesn't pass it.
You're insane. That's insane.
I'll triple down on this. Greg, you're currently holding the trivia crown.
Yes.
So it's a trivia question for you. Do you know how many bogeys Scottie Scheffler has made this week?
0.
0.
He made a double.
Yeah, I tried to get you. Yeah,
what was his last bogey, Patrick?
He made a double on 3 on round 1. So his last bogey, Masters, would have to be on number
11.
Yes, 11.
Yeah, he missed right, and then couldn't get up and down.
But I think he missed kind of a shortish.
8 feet or so.
Yeah, and it was weird because he walked off that green like gaining strokes on everyone still.
Yeah. He was playing for an 8-footer for par. Rick, there's so many different ways we could go with this. I mean, I put the stat out there. If you played Bay Hill, TPC Sawgrass, Augusta, and RBC Heritage, you're like, and played all 4 rounds. Like you made the cut at all of them. I know this one didn't have a cut, but the other 3 did. And you played to field average, your score would be -1. So like you weren't great, but you weren't terrible. You were just like kind of middle of the road at all 4 of those events. You'd be -1 for those 4 tournaments in the aggregate. Scottie's 66 under in those four events. And it's like, I think the thing, so 2 things. One, I actually found this old tweet I had from last summer. I was looking for something else and I stumbled into it, and it was like, I feel like I think I wrote something like, I think Scottie's about to go on a 2006 Tiger type run. And he didn't at the end of the year, but it was kind of a nod to what you and I have been yelling about for like a year and a half now, even with Patrick challenging us, which is like, you can't put up numbers like this for this long and not run into a bunch of wins. Now, are they all going to happen 4 and 5 events? No. Sometimes they're going to be spread out. Sometimes you'll have a longer drought. Sometimes you'll have a shorter drought, whatever. But it's very, very difficult to put up the type. And this is why numbers, I think, matter. I like looking at them over a longer window of time than a short window, because I think they're, like you've talked about, less noisy. You can gain more insight from them. And Scottie's numbers for the last 2 years are just a joke. And people are like, I don't understand strokes gained. It doesn't matter if you understand it. What it's going to result in, which is what it's resulting in, is wins. And then the second thing, I've been so impressed this year by how well-rounded he is as not even really a golfer. Like, obviously he's got all the shots. His short game is sick. It's sick. It's so good. His putter's good at times, but how good he is with everything else. So I mean, like, course discipline, course management, playing through injury like he did at the Players, managing like his emotional and mental state like he did at the Masters, bouncing back from the mental and emotional energy he spent at the Masters by being up 5 with 3 to play. I mean, there's just so many different ways to lose an event to all these super talented guys. And he just has shored up, it seems like, every castle entrance. Like, there's just no way to get in there. I mean, unless the putter's just atrocious, right? And I'm super, super impressed by that. And that's why I think this is something that can go on for a really, really, really long time. I don't think this is ending like when they have the baby or at the next major or anything like that.
So we hollered about if Scottie could just putt to a 0 and what that would mean. Well, he's putting to a 0 this week and he's leading by 5 shots, Greg. It is that's what would happen if he just putts to a 0.
Yeah, we talked about it last year constantly. And that is the only thing that's changed. I mean, if you look at his numbers from 2023 to 2024, he's a little better approaching the green and a little worse off the tee and a little better around the green. But it's like 0.2 of a shot. He's better tee to green this year, right? I mean, it's essentially identical. And the one thing that's different is putting, and not just putting, but putting from 4 to 8 feet, putting from inside of 5 feet, right? This is what we talked about last night, Rick. This is the part that should be so easy. How is this? And this is what we said last year. How is these little tiny putts creating this much trouble for him? And all of a sudden they're not. And that's what, to me, why it's so sustainable, because I don't think it's hard over a long period of time to make putts you should make. You may miss a few here and there. He clearly has plenty of room to spare and does not have to be perfect in that area. But when those are comfortable and going in, and we're not going down the road of yips and we're just making them at an average rate, 70% of them, right? He's since switching to the mallet putter, he's making, and I haven't added this weekend yet, but he's making 72% of his putts from 4 to 8 feet. You know, that's good.
Really
not
good.
Great, but that's the difference. And it's the difference between second or third and win by 5, which just blows my mind.
Rory is just needs to keep his mouth shut sometimes.
By the way, if Scottie wins tomorrow, Ted Scott will have made more money this year than Rory on the PGA Tour.
That's sick. Does that assume 10%? Is that 10%?
Yeah, 10-7-5. So 10 for win, 7 for top 10, 5 for everything else. I mean, he's only had one that isn't in the top 10.
You think Teddy got a little PTSD there on 15 with Scottie yelling mudball?
Mudball.
Wow. Wow.
Just flashing.
I mean, I'm having trouble, Rick, not being irrational.
Well,
Like-
Greg and I talked about this last night. I was like, last night it was a one-shot lead. I was like, Scottie Scheffler's absolutely going to win. No doubt about it, blah, blah, blah. And Greg's like, we have never been here on a Saturday where you have said something remotely close to that, because I know how crazy golf can be, but it is so clear that he is by far the best player. I'm like, I can't help myself.
Well, and that's the part where I don't want to be irrational here, because I think there were moments where we thought that about a handful of guys: Rory, Rahm, DJ, Jason Day there for a little bit, Spieth, maybe some JT in there when he won 5 times that year. But I can't remember, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it felt like this with Rory, where it was just like, oh yeah, of course, like this is a wrap. Like this is over. Like there's no way anybody else is winning.
I don't remember this feeling.
Been 10 years at least.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just like what it feels like with him. I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about this yesterday, Rick. It's so fun to cover greatness. Like I'm so enthralled with it, and people are like, oh, it's bad for ratings, it's boring. I mean, whatever, like that's fine. Those are probably true things, but just me personally, I can't get enough of it, because it's and Scottie talked about this actually on Tuesday. He's like, fans come out. He wasn't talking about himself, he was talking about something else, and he said they just want to see something great. They just want to see greatness. And you're like, oh yeah, like that's totally true. And we're seeing it with him. And I mean, you could talk me into anything right now. 8 majors, you could talk me into it. 40 wins, talk me into it. I mean, I'm completely unhinged right now.
What did I say his ceiling was?
You said 5 and 30, which I thought was a totally like reasonable take. 5 majors, 30 wins. Like that's a crazy, that's like kind of a modern Phil career. Like, cause I think it's a little more competitive now.
Yeah.
And I feel like right now I would take like over both of those.
I know. That was my, like, if everything goes, and that was like 2 weeks ago. And now I'm like, maybe it's 8 and 50. I don't know.
Throw another 20 on there.
Yeah.
But this is the other thing too. He, like all those other guys you mentioned, there are golf courses where it doesn't fit them. They may not win a place like Harbor Town. You would think Rory would be a shoe-in at Harbor Town, but Scottie is so straight off the tee. These other guys are really long and they're straight, but they don't hit a lot of fairways just because of their length. But Scottie rips it down the middle every time. And this week, when it's so narrow and so tight, it's so evident. This is a golf at a totally different level. I cannot put it into words.
He has not technically won this yet, but like I mentioned, 5-shot lead with 3 to go, and we're going to return on Monday morning to wrap this thing up. They're going to start at 8 a.m. Eastern time. There is a very compelling rest of the board race for second, and there are a lot of one and done implications in that mix. There's also Nelly Korda, who has won 5 times in a row. There's also Billy Horschel, who got it done on the opposite side of things this week. We've got to recap our best bets. We have a lot to do. We're going to continue this conversation after a quick word from our partners.
At CBS Sports Golazo Network, we're bringing you the game. Madness of Messi alive! Breaking down the game.
This is unlike anything else in the world.
And changing the game.
Get it all for nil.
That means free.
Whoa.
And all day long!
24/7.
And we're back. The race for second is compelling. There's currently a 4-way tie for second place. There are 3 of them still out on the golf course. Patrick, let's start with the guy who's done. That's Wyndham Clark. And the scorecard says 65, but boy, oh boy, were there some possibilities out there, because he turned in 29. He birdied 11. That is 8 under through 11. Then he makes a double on 12, a bogey on 13, a bogey on 15, but birdies on 16 and 17, and what will be a very, very good par on 18 that will age very, very well. Shoots a 65. He's in the clubhouse.
Double on 12 was electric. Right when coverage was coming on, we had Mark on the call. He was following the group. He caught up with them, and it sounded like that cannon that Matt Fitzpatrick hit alongside earlier in the week there on the Calabogie Sound when he hit that tree and it went straight out of bounds. Unlucky, bad shot, sure, makes a double, makes a bogey on the next hole, but I think Wyndham is making a case to take the title of bagman of the PGA Tour from Patrick Cantlay. They got a nice little battle heating up here for second place. But you look at this guy in signature events, obviously won the shortened AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, runner-up at the API and the Players, and potentially this week, big money events. This guy just he finds a new gear, and I don't know if it's those new sponsors with that silly T-Mobile hat, just horrible, or the new SoFi on his chest. The T-Mobile hat is egregious. I can't get over it. The hot pink on it.
It looks like
it
looks like a European soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good call. I just can't do it. It's just really bad.
I think guys should lean into it. Like I think Cantlay should just have DeWalt, like just like a power tool on the top of his hat.
He should. Him and Jason Day, DeWalt, and Malbon. Talk about two ends of the spectrum there.
What a collab.
But he played great golf, Rick. Wyndham played great. And obviously, the first 11 holes was phenomenal to watch.
This might be the third time Wyndham Clark finishes second to Scottie, like specifically to Scottie Scheffler. Scottie's been edging it out. Also, Steven Yeager looks like the Dragon Slayer.
He's like Y.E. Yang.
Yeah, he's looking at everybody else like, well, I don't see what the big deal is. I got him.
He played alongside him yesterday too. Scottie.
He's the only human to beat Nelly or Scottie in their last 10 starts.
That's
he's going to be an answer to a trivia question in a couple years.
Yeah, he will be. Speaking of Patrick Cantlay, he did a very Patrick Cantlay thing on 18 today.
We tried to outsmart the sun.
Tough scene if that guy's making the decisions for the PGA Tour.
It was just vintage. Patrick Cantlay, smartest guy in the room. Oh, wait, maybe not situation. So
it was so funny to watch.
So they blow the horn, but Cantlay has teed off on 18. So you can finish the hole, right? The sun is rapidly dropping here. He actually plays through a group, right? He plays through the JT Poston group. He hits an unbelievably difficult shot into the 18th green on his second shot. It was playing like 260 yards. It's just not the time you want to be hitting that shot into 18 green. So you're like, okay, well, he's just going to finish this up and get out of here. No, he's not, because his ball comes to rest on the fringe and like the primary rough cut. And he stands there looking at it. Every second he waits looking at it, it's getting darker and darker until he finally ends up putting a mark on it. So not only did he not finish his round, but he voluntarily hit the most difficult shot he could hit at the most difficult time.
I like when you hit the second shot, aren't you committed to finishing the hole, even if it's like,
yes,
midnight?
I would have pulled it. I would have had Joey LaCava pull out his iPhone flashlight, and I would have finished after I hit that second shot.
He was like trying to outsmart the sun, which is hilarious.
Yeah. It was truly a spectacle.
I would not understand it. I mean, this is the other thing to consider. Meredith Scheffler. I mean, you call Yeager the Dragon Slayer. I mean, Meredith is the one with all the power. If something happens tonight, Scheffler will go home. He will. And all of a sudden, you got a playoff going on, and you finished, and you got out of there. You're heading to New Orleans, and you're in a playoff.
Wow.
Playoff. I mean, it just wasn't the right thing to do. And it was so obvious watching he and LaCava talking about it. It's like, why are we doing this now?
Yeah, but why didn't they have that conversation 3 minutes earlier? When
They should have stood on the tee and said,
It's not a good sign. When you're playing through another group, and somebody in the chat said that's the first time Patrick Cantlay's ever played through a group, which I thought was funny. Like if you're playing,
who said that?
Somebody in the chat.
Oh, that's funny.
Hef says that's the first time Cantlay played through anybody.
That's fair.
It's just it was quite the mismanagement for one of our tour leaders.
But yeah, it was Joe Musso said this in the chat too. It's like it could be it could be considered like a physical representation of like what he's done off the course at times, which is like, oh, this is a good idea, and then he does it, and he's like, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
They had the zoom in on his hand. He had the tee, and you didn't know if he was going to put it down or put it back in his pocket. He was going back and forth.
He was doing the hover hand over the pocket. It was, and the look on his face was like, crap. Like we really screwed this one up.
But like, again, you're up by the, I don't know. Like your pot can like, unless it, I don't understand it. Like it was dark, but it wasn't, pitch black. Like just hit it. Just get up there and finish it.
I agree. There's nothing that would have stopped me from finishing after I hit the second shot. He is in a tie for second. Wyndham Clark, Patrick Cantlay, Greg, the other two, JT Poston and Sahith. Poston is playing 18. I was going to say as we speak, but not really as we speak. He is kind of green side. He's there in 2. If he can get up and down, he will post 15. If he cannot get up and down, he will. I mean, there is a really interesting. This like Wyndham posting 15 under might get him solo second, depending on how this plays out.
It really could. I think Sahith is going to have an opportunity to at least tie. 16, 17, 18. Right. 16's a birdie hole, especially tomorrow. I mean, the wind was howling. And so for Sahith to get to play those holes tomorrow morning with 10-mile-an-hour winds, Cantlay and LaCava were talking about 35 mile an hour, like it playing 35 miles an hour into 10 tomorrow is going to be a lot more manageable. So I think he's in a really good position. But it still could really thin out. It's not an easy up and down for JT Poston. It's not an easy up and down for Patrick Cantlay. And Ludwig sitting there one back. Rogers, I guess, in the mix. There are some other people who can jump up in there. But it could very well thin out. And you could see Wyndham with a solo or a two-way tie for second, which is huge money.
What would be more of a gift? Hold on. There's two scenarios. Both involve Meredith going into labor tonight.
I'm so uncomfortable with this.
Remember when Patrick Cantlay got the win because John Rahm was 6 shots up, withdrew on Saturday night, wins the Memorial. We gave him credit for half a win on that one. He could chip in or get into a play. Now, does Wyndham? I don't think Wyndham's playing next week. So is he already left?
He's got to be gone.
Yeah,
I would have.
Yeah, he would.
Remember when I think it was 06 Baltusrol when Phil won and Tiger, they finished on Monday. Tiger had left and Phil started melting down on Monday as he was finishing, and Tiger had to like either start coming back or like he got in the point. I don't know. There was something insane that happened that would only involve Phil.
Bryson did that at Wells Fargo, I think, in his last appearance ever.
Imagine Bryson trying to outsmart the cut line.
Yeah, he tried to. The data guy couldn't figure out that the cut was the afternoon wave was playing more difficult. And the cut was moving back towards him. We're going to finish up this round tomorrow. I'm trying to think if there's anything else worth noting here. I don't think so.
Justin Thomas, quietest T6 maybe ever.
Yeah. 69, 68, 68, 65.
Finally got some putts to go.
Colin Morikawa struggled on Sunday, 1 over par. He's got a couple holes to go. Not a great finish for him.
No.
I'm selling Morikawa right now.
I think I am too.
Well, go ahead.
Well, he's weird in that I sound like an idiot saying I'm selling him 2-time major winner that's playing good golf, but I don't know. It's not clicking for me. I don't know.
You
Coach
think it's smoke and mirrors these last 2 weeks?
It doesn't pass the eye test, Patrick.
I don't like how he keeps state secrets with what he's found. He will never tell anyone, but every week he's like, I found something, guys. Watch out. Watch out.
I think I have an idea where that comes from, Patrick.
Okay.
I think he is going through the Rolodex of feels and swing thoughts that he's used in the past. Right. So he's spends his whole life with Rick Sessinghaus, goes to Mark Blackburn. They work on some things. It's not working out. They go their separate ways. And now he's just like, I used to feel this. I used to feel this. And one kind of works. And I found it, but it's not really like I've been working on this for a long time and it's starting to pay off. It's just like a cycle of quick fixes, which work, that can work for a week. But it does feel like there's an underlying issue, and I don't know where he turns. He's got to go back to Rick Sessinghaus would be my guess, and what I would recommend as well.
So here's the problem: when you lose 3.3 strokes on approach, and you're Colin Morikawa, you're in big trouble.
Tons of trouble.
And this is like the 4th week in a row.
More majors from here on out between him, Ludwig, and Bryson.
From here on out?
From today to the end of their careers.
Ludwig.
God. See, the problem with Bryson is I don't even know what his major championship stat, because I think Bryson could. I really like where Bryson's at right now, and I think that he's going to continue to evolve. But I don't even know what. I'm not sure the uncertainty into major championships in the future is a problem.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I agree with you. I like where Bryson's at. I don't trust any of it. Like, there's no. There's so much volatility there, which could be good, but it could also be bad.
It also seems ridiculous to pick Ludwig, who has not even been a professional for a year,
who's played one major.
Yeah, but I think that's what I would do.
So nobody would take the 2-time major winner.
There's just not that many 3-time major winners. You go in here on out.
Do you guys put any stock in the crowds? He can't win in front of a crowd.
No, not really.
Even Dottie brought it up at the Masters a little bit.
Who did?
Dottie did during the Masters. She brought it up.
Really?
Yeah, on Sunday.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
She said. She
just said, well, those majors came in front of, either no crowds or limited crowds.
To me, it's not I've never thought of him as somebody that is affected all that much by that stuff. Maybe he is. I don't know. But to me, it's more of a he's just kind of. This sounds ridiculous because I know he just shot 69 at like in the worst conditions at Augusta, but he's just kind of poofy. Like he just kind of poofs.
I thought he was gonna give Scheffler a good run after those first 8 holes. He didn't miss a shot.
I will say Kyle was like on Saturday night, Kyle was like, this Morikawa thing is about to crumble. And sure enough, double on 9, double on 11, just crumble.
Those first 8 holes though.
Yeah, we'll always have that. Patrick.
Yeah. I think I'll go with yeah, I'll go with Colin. Sure. Just
I just don't think his 2 majors it doesn't matter, right? I mean, Rory's played unbelievable golf for 10 years and hasn't gotten one in 10 years. It just
I know. Which is 2 things. One, there's I was thinking this today, and we can transition to talking about the women's side, but there's too many women's majors. I realize there's only 5, but 4 is such a perfect number. Like there's like just so few of them, and you have to be like, and that's what I think makes what Scottie's doing even crazier. We're going to go to the PGA thinking like he's going to win. I don't know if he will. I mean, do you guys think that the slam is in? I wrote this on, I don't know, Wednesday or whatever. I think the Grand Slam is like in play. What was the number today, Patrick?
It dropped from 80 to 1 to 50 to 1.
it's probably so realistically, he probably has a 1% chance of winning the Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Now that is a huge number when it comes to odds to win the Grand Slam. It's only going to happen, 1 out of 100 times, but that is a massive number.
Well, because think about how few times we get the first major winner being the best player in the world. And then on top of that, playing the best golf of his life.
And historically great golf.
Right. Like this, like what we're heading toward with him at the PGA Championship never really happens. Rahm last year was like as close as you normally would get, and Scottie's way beyond that. And so, yeah, it's not going to happen, but I just think the idea of, Spieth got beat by 4 guys in 2015. He lost to 3 at the Open and 1 at the PGA. That's it.
He had a shot on 18. He needed to make birdie on 18 to get into that playoff.
How far left did he hit it on 18?
100 yards.
Oh my gosh.
I think he was like hole high. It had 102.
Yes.
And he almost made it from the Valley of Sin.
Yeah. That was absurd.
In high, 102 yards.
Seriously.
In the fairway.
So good. All right. Well, we're going to transition to talk about the actual best player in the world. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
And we're back. The ladies played in their first major championship of the year, the Chevron Championship. The tournament favorite, Nelly Korda, entered with 4 consecutive wins. She's only played before this week 5 times this season. She has won 4 of them, 4 in a row, and she's done it again. A 3 under 69 to finish at 13 under par, 2 shots clear of Stark, 3 shots clear of Coughlin. This is dominance on both sides, Greg. Both sides of the men's game and the women's game are getting dominance right now.
Absolute dominance, which is so cool to see. I mean, first player since Annika to win 5 in a row in 06, 07. Nancy Lopez, the only other one to do it. It includes a major championship. It's so impressive. So impressive. And this is something that's challenging because it's generated a lot of hype. And if you're playing on the PGA Tour and you get a win or you get a little bit of, one win, you can start to get a little bit of media coverage. Things can change pretty quickly. When you start doing this on the LPGA Tour, it's a significant change in media attention. And she's gotten a ton of it. And she's handled it so well. She's been very open, very honest, admits that it's difficult for her. And she said she was feeling sick. She was feeling sick on the back nine today and is still able to get it done, which reminded me of Max Holmes' quote from the Masters. Like, just because I'm nervous doesn't mean I have to play poorly. And Nelly Korda absolutely executes that. And it's great to watch.
KP, that back nine, I know you were talking about it a little bit on HQ. It was slow. When you're trying to go for 5 in a row, you're not feeling great. You're waiting on every shot. That's a different side of the game that you have got to have buttoned up if you want to be a major champion and cap off 5 wins in a row.
Yeah, I was thinking about her in a little bit the same way about that I was talking about Scottie, which is it's well-rounded. Obviously her swing's amazing and she's great at golf, but it's just different to shut down a major. And she talked about that. She was like, it was the longest 9 holes ever. Now, some of that is like, it was like Cantlay pace of play out there. It was atrocious. Like Meg Atkins for the Fried Egg, who's a great follow on Twitter. She tweeted about this. Like, you can't, as on the women's side, like, you've got this great stage, historic moment. It didn't feel like a major. And I don't know if that's a broadcast thing. I don't know if that's the pace of play. I mean, the pace of play was awful. Now you could say, well, the pace of play at the Masters was awful too. And that still felt like the Masters. Just something has to be done about that. But, on the Nelly side, like, I'm just so impressed with her, like, everything but the golf, which is such a weird thing to say when she's won 5 in a row, but to just, I mean, she almost hit the stick on 17. She makes birdie to close it out on 18. It was just super, super impressive from a mental and emotional standpoint. And Scottie Scheffler somehow isn't the best player in the world right now because Nelly Korda is, which is crazy.
The 2 number 1 players in the world, Patrick. So these are not updated yet because they'll update tomorrow morning, but it'll be something similar to this. The gap between Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy 1-2 is the same gap from Rory to about the 85th player in the world. Nelly's got a gap of her own that will get better tomorrow from 1-2 as the same from 2 to about 41, and that's going to get better tomorrow. So these two are literally, however you want to look at this, wins, strokes gained, OWGR or the Rolex rankings, they are head and shoulders above their competition.
Yeah, it's really cool to see, like KP said earlier, it's fun to cover great golfers achieving great feats that like come around once in a blue moon that are very rare. And I mean, for her to do it on a major stage is awesome. I tuned into the back nine, and I mean, she admitted it afterwards. Some of the shots, some of the putts, the putt on the first par 5 on the back nine was kind of wipey. You could see the nerves kind of getting to her. She lost her driver a little bit. She hit one in the water there on 15 as well. Was battling a little bit of a 2-way miss, but I mean, she was just so solid throughout the week and built up that lead and saw some, like everyone else, kind of crumble a little bit beneath her. And so golf's in a good spot, I think, with these two atop, just because, I mean, they're going to hopefully keep doing this, and it'll be interesting to see if the LPGA can keep the momentum of women's sports rolling into the summer.
So she jumps into the lake afterwards and opted for a cannonball. I'm not sure I would have done a cannonball, but I respect it.
What's your move?
Pencil.
I think cannonball is actually, I think Patrick didn't see that coming. He said it on HQ earlier. I
Ding.
think Cannonball's the safest, right?
Well,
Yes.
Gotta be.
without knowing what's down there, yeah, probably. Actually, the safest would be the belly flop because you would have the amount. You would go. I'm
You
worried.
wouldn't go Eddie. You wouldn't go deep.
Yeah, but you would get hurt on a belly flop.
Kyle, you're jumping from 10 inches. You're not
They're
going to
golfers. I mean,
Nelly Korda tears rotator cuff after belly flop.
Akshay tore his shoulder up by fist bumping. Like I don't.
He dislocated it.
Yeah.
Akshay would have never made it out of that pond. Yeah, I guess Cannonball, but I mean, it was great form. This is the other thing. So that watch that she's wearing, I believe, if you want to pronounce it correctly, it's a Richard Mille, right? It's the same one that Bubba wears, or a similar. She jumped in with it, which it's like.
I mean, she just won 1.2 million.
$600,000 watch, I think.
Well, it better be waterproof at that price point.
You said it was.
They could probably get her another one though if it's not. It's good.
That watch is woodwear.
Yeah, I bet. I would be scared. I would.
Did you get one of those at the Masters merchandise?
That would be sick. Okay. Here's what. Real quick. Sorry, Billy Horschel won in Punta Cana.
All-time picture. If you haven't seen it, the PGA Tour posted it with the white garb and the hat.
It looks like Breaking Bad season 7 or something.
He's about to roll a couple Cubanos for the boys. It looks like.
I have it. Hold on, Josh. Oh, I got it, buddy. Fire that up there.
He looks like he's about to like give you a physical.
Turn your head and cough, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's like Halloween at a doctor's office.
He just puts on a funny hat, calls it a costume. What are you? I'm on vacation.
Billy's made some big strides in his game this year.
And good for him for going down there. I mean, he's made a ton of money. He doesn't have to do that. Like that's a grind sesh. That's good stuff.
He beats Wesley Bryan, who was a sponsor's invite into that event. Kevin Tway, Charlie Hoffman, Justin Lauer round out the top 5. Other notables, Matty Schmid finished T11, Taylor Pendrith T11. Parker and Pearson Cootie both finished inside the top 20. Alex Fitzpatrick finished T23. He's going to play with Matt Fitzpatrick next week. That's all.
I had an old buddy finish T65. So congratulations to Brandon Barry, first PGA Tour event.
Brandon Barry, 73, 67, 73, 73. He was 44th in scrambling. We don't have all the stats, Patrick, so I'm working hard here.
Was he in that junior PGA that you watch?
I don't think so. I don't think he qualified either.
How do you know Brandon Barry?
Junior golf growing up.
He's from Great Falls, Virginia.
There you go.
We need to dig into Patrick's junior golf career.
There's a lot
of high scores up there.
There's a lot under the surface for Patrick.
Who's the first guy that I've probably asked you this, but who's the first guy that you ran into or saw and you're like, well, I'm gonna go pro in something other than sports?
I think it was Burns.
Okay.
I was in a tournament in Memphis. Well, that was a tough one. I shouldn't have been in the tournament, but I was in it. I remember being on the driving range. I had David Toms and Chris DeMarco behind me because their kids were in the tournament.
Yeah.
And I was just shanking golf balls. Shanking. And then I'm playing behind Burns. He like in the first round, he's in first, I'm in last. I think he clipped me by like 20 in the first round.
Okay, here's something interesting. Patrick, would you have played in the Raspberry Falls Golf and Hunt Club tournament when you were 14 and 15?
Yeah, I would have.
Okay.
That's down the road.
In the boys 14 and 15 division, several players put together impressive sub 80 rounds, including Patrick McDonald.
Oh.
It lists a few others and says, and Kyle Berkshire.
Oh yeah. He's from the area too.
Yeah, that was you.
How
buddy.
about that?
Yeah, that I should have gone long drive. Looking back on it.
So, no, you shouldn't have. So when you see Burns, is it like a watching him hit balls thing? Is it just a score thing? Like, what is it about him that you're like, well, I'm not going to be able to do this?
When they're like 13 and 14 and they just never miss hit a golf ball.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm thinning it. I'm kind of chunking some of them. It's like, this is going to be a long week.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing you hear so often. And Greg, I'm sure, has run into this a lot. I played with this guy a couple years ago in New York, and he was about my age. And he's like, when we were 16, Webb was 10 shots better than me. When we were 20, Webb was 10 shots better than me. When we were 23, Webb was 10 shots. And you're just like, what am I going to do? It's just, I can't get to that level. Like, it's just different.
Totally different. I never really had it as a junior. I started playing late. So I was playing like my first tournament and I'm in high school. And it's the same thing for me. I'm just trying to handle myself and play a round of tournament golf. But there wasn't really anybody that told me I couldn't do it until I got to college. And I was doing the PGM program at Coastal Carolina. And there are kids in my program, right? These are kids that are not going to pursue the PGA Tour. They're going to go on to be club pros. They've already decided that they're not on the college golf team, and they are just like, they don't miss hit a shot. It's a stripe show all around the golf course, and I kind of scrapped it around. So I always knew. But seeing kids that are going to be club pros, like shoot even par and make it look so easy, it's a big difference. But then when you see the tour guys that are on mini tours, like I saw this guy who had quit playing mini tours, played for 7 years. His name is Brad Tilley. And I was playing with him as a marker in a tournament. And he who had played 5 rounds that year, and he made 7 birdies in a row on the back 9 in like 20-mile-an-hour winds. And he lipped out for birdie on 10 and lipped out for birdie on 18. And he quit. He couldn't do it. I think he made like $4,000 in his career.
I wish more people could hear that story because it contextualizes Scottie. It contextualizes Rory. It contextualizes DJ when DJ's in the top 10 for like 13 years in a row. You're like, you don't understand how good DJ is because you don't understand how good Brad Tilley is.
Yeah, who you've never met, never seen, never will.
Right.
And how many of those guys there are.
Yeah.
There's thousands of them in the U.S.
Yeah.
Brad Tilley is the glue that holds this podcast together. So how about this little string here? So Brad Tilley is playing amateur golf right now. He just played the Azalea Invitational a week ago.
Oh,
okay.
My neck of the woods.
Okay. So Stuart Hagestad won that event.
Sure.
And where'd they play it, Patrick?
Charleston Country Club.
Country Club of Charleston.
Oh, great track. Didn't they have the U.S. Women's Open there?
Yeah. Handful of years ago.
It was sick.
2 or 3. Yeah. Really cool.
What are the chances Brad Tilley listens to this podcast and is like, holy, why are they talking about me right now?
Yeah. There's no way he remembers me.
Maybe he follows one of us on Twitter.
He might. His playing partner, by the way, This is another story. His playing partner is a guy named Hugo Leon, who's played some mini tours. He's won some tournaments. You can find him. He's sitting in the fairway, and he would smoke cigarettes, kind of like a very intense. And he would say, "Tilly, I'll never forget this shot on 15 at Medalist. He's 235 yards out on a par 4, and he's saying." Smoking the cigarette. I think it's a 4, Tilly. The 5's not going to get there. And he hits this 4-iron that is just perfect. It's just perfect. And it's dead pin high. There's a little bunker that cuts out in front of the green. He just kind of paints it right off the edge of the bunker. This is a 30-mile-an-hour crosswind, and it doesn't curve. It goes right through it. Fit to 10 feet, and he missed it. And that's what he did all day. Right. And at the time, we were amazed. Everybody was amazed at Hugo Leon because he couldn't make it anywhere. And he looks like the best player on the range. It was unbelievable. That round of golf, I will never forget. 2 guys that didn't make it that absolutely torched the place.
So many. The pool of golf is very, very deep. A lot of talented guys. Quickly here, we'll get us out of town. The bets. So it was Patrick and Greg running the show. It wasn't pretty, but Greg was able to, I'll give you this one, Greg, the outright on Scottie Scheffler. I'll give you that.
Thank you, Scotty. That's all I have to say. Also,
Patrick, with his best bet, finally got back on track and picked Scottie Scheffler to win. And of course, that's going to happen.
Hashtag thank you, Scotty, just to echo Greg's sentiment.
Nobody has made more on Scottie Scheffler this year than Patrick has, who is just like donkey fired on him every single week.
The biggest believer.
Yeah,
bring me the Grand Slam numbers next week, Patrick.
Kyle's going to be pushing futures into the best bets.
Yes, you've done it. Did you do like an end of season bet or something?
I've done weird things. I've touched them all: college hoops, everything in between.
Yeah, we don't have many rules on the best bet. Now, we have a couple of things with the one and done, not only for this week, but for next week as well. So this week is not over, and there are a lot of implications at the top of the board. Mark has Patrick Cantlay, and Patrick Cantlay was, I believe, one of the most highly selected golfers in Run Your Pool, I think 10%. I have Wyndham Clark, who has flown up the leaderboard since opening with a 72. A tie for second or a solo second or anything like that would go a long way. I think solo second would be about $2 million. So those are still very much alive. Kyle had Tommy Fleetwood. Greg and Josh, along with Patrick, had Shane Lowry. KP Fleetwood finished 49th.
Very cool.
Beat Lowry.
Hashtag thank you, Shane.
Lowry finished 64th.
Rick, you and I are going to be relegated to the Corn Ferry, one and done.
Hold on, bud. I'm about to catch 2 million from Wyndham Clark here, and then I'm gonna get hot.
You'll pass Kyle.
Yeah, I know. I'm still gonna be. Yeah, no, you're right. You and I are just so screwed. We're headed down to. Well, we'll pick the kid. We'll pick Miles.
We picked Scotty for the only tournament he hasn't won in the last 6 weeks.
He has made $500 million, and you and I got 100 grand.
I've got I think I put this out there. So the top 3 single season earnings in PGA Tour history: 1, Scheffler last year, 21 mil; 2, Rahm last year, 16.5 mil; 3, Scheffler in the last 42 days, 16.3 mil.
Well, how much is he going to make this year?
He's already up to like 18 total this year. So probably 25, 30.
Well, and then he's going to then he'll win the FedEx Cup. He'll finish 3rd in the PIP.
So 70.
Comcast Business top 10. Does that still exist?
Add another 2 on for that.
Does that exist? They didn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's just the top 10 regular season.
It's literally, they couldn't even come up with anything different. It's literally just the FedEx Cup standings. Cause now the year Now we're back to a calendar year. So it used to be like just since January, who would be in the top 10. Now it's literally just the FedEx Cup standings at the end of the regular season.
Mm-hmm. That's why, like, some guys, if they're like 11th, they'll play the Wyndham.
Well, that's why it used to be the Wyndham Rewards.
That at least made more sense.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they could. I like a regular season reward. It'd be cool if they could spice that up somehow.
I think the regular season top 8 should be the FedEx Cup, or should be the playoff
Match play.
Yeah,
like
make the BMW and the whatever part of the regular season, and then cut the. I'm just shooting from the hip here, but cut the Tour Championship, make the top 8 match play, and yeah, have fun with it.
Josh asked a very good question. What would Scottie's starting advantage at the Tour Championship need to be to communicate how dominant this season was? Because he's only going to get a 2-shot lead.
So currently, if he wins tomorrow, it'll be the biggest gap ever at this stage. Granted, it's different because it's a calendar year, but he would have doubled up, more than doubled up Wyndham Clark, who's in second in terms of FedEx Cup points.
So he should start at like 20 under, and Wyndham should start at like 8.
How much money will Wyndham earn tomorrow if he finishes? What is he right now? T2?
He's in a 4-way tie for a second.
So 4-way tie for second would be.
Do you have the tie table handy? I can get
1.3. Okay. So he would be at 9.2, and Scottie will be at 18.6 million
dollars. Oh, halfway through the year.
Yeah. He could legit earn $30 million this year
in official money.
And the record is what he set last year at 21.
So here's a question for you guys. VJ and Tiger, 9 most wins in a season in recent memory. Do you think he sniffs it? I mean, smaller fields. He's got the Tour Championship in there
shorter
too.
Season.
So if he wins tomorrow, he has 4.
Yeah, I'll put it at 6.5, 7.5.
Okay.
I'll go under 7.5.
So 7. It's tough because these fields are small now.
Small and guaranteed rounds is kind of a big deal.
But there's also not that many events left.
No, there's not.
So he's probably playing Wells Fargo, PGA.
Is he?
Well, if he doesn't play the Wells Fargo, he's not going to play until the PGA. So here's the schedule.
Well, what about
Byron
Nelson?
Okay. Well, so next week is Zurich, then Byron Nelson, Wells Fargo, PGA. So you think he plays Byron Nelson then?
I'm assuming life's going to get in the way here shortly for a little bit.
Yeah, I do think that I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But the way he was talking at the Masters, Rick, I don't know if you're in there. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, like my life's about to be like total upheaval. We're having this baby. It was kind of like, yeah, we're having a baby, like pretty unprepared, which great way to go into it. I mean that legitimately, like that is the right way to go into it.
The only way you can.
Yeah, exactly. And I just I got the sense from him talking that it was kind of like, yeah, we'll figure it out. Like it wasn't like he was, I don't know how to say this, but like it wasn't like he was concerned about how it's going to affect his golf life, if that makes sense.
All right. Let's say this. Let's say he plays Byron Nelson, Wells Fargo, PGA. That's 3. Does he play the Canadian Open? He'll play
He's going to play the Schwab.
Well, he's going to have to. Dude, there's a lot of events. Okay, so Schwab, that's 4.
I don't know that he'll play Nelson and
Yeah, I think one or the other would be
Okay.
my guess.
So let's take him back down to 3, but he's going to play Memorial US Open Travelers. That's 6. Scottish Open 7. Open 8.
yeah, he's got like 11 events left.
3 playoff events. That's 11.
11. He's got 11 events left.
All right, so he'll have 15 wins.
And so right now he's at 4 through 10 if he caps it off tomorrow.
All right, so then under 7.5.
So
Yeah.
Byron Nelson's record is in jeopardy.
What was it, 11?
Well,
11.
will we give him the Olympics?
I never know what to do with that.
Do you think he'll qualify?
It is close.
I wish the Olympics had a staggered start. It's like, oh, Scotty's at 40 under.
Here's the problem with the one and done for next week, gents. Run Your Pool does not allow you to put a pick in for the Zerk.
We can skip it.
Bye week.
Hold on. I'll speak for Kyle. The basement boys need something.
Well, Patrick was asking for a reset right before we came on.
I agree.
This could be it. It could be your bye week.
I meant like a mental reset.
Oh, I thought you reset everyone to 0. We could pick the live week, but the problem is then now we've got 2 different leaderboards because everybody else isn't going to be able to pick that. Josh would have to keep our score, so we're going to have to take the week off.
The live week.
Or find me anything with money, KP. I need cash, bro.
Maybe we just put our money up against each other and play.
Oh, that'd be so sick.
The
An
YouTube
indie
boys.
week, just a straight up. We could do a team one and done.
Oh, could you, Matt? What if we played and then the viewers had to pick one of us had to use one of us in the run?
That would be awesome.
All right. Does anybody have anything else?
No.
The RBC Heritage will restart at 8 a.m. Eastern time on Monday morning. They've got like 30 minutes to go, 40 minutes to go, something like that. Yeah. All right. We'll be back. Here's what we're going to do. Monday, DFS preview for Zurich. Tuesday, mega preview pod, round by round recaps, the normal. Big thanks to producer Josh, does all the hard work behind the scenes. Greg DuCharme, available at The Real GFD. Patrick McDonald at P McDonald CBS. Kyle Porter at Kyle Porter CBS. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.